All right, let's bring in now Tom Maioli, the owner of 6 Ford auto dealerships in the New York, New Jersey area. Tom, thank you so much for giving me some of your time.
Good to see you.
We just heard from Brooke there. Are you seeing any impact yet from the strike? And what are you anticipating, as this continues, if it does in fact continue?
Well, listen, we're not feeling the impact yet because we do have inventory on the lots, but that inventory depletes very quickly. And what is not being understood here is that not only do the vehicle supply get affected, but parts are going to be affected. And when parts are affected, repair departments cannot fix the consumer's car. They come in, they need to get their brakes and their tires and their cars serviced. If you don't have the parts, you can't service them. And that's going to back up quickly because if you're missing one part for a car, you can't finish it. So what's going to happen is if the consumer cannot get their car repaired, we're shutting down the transportation system. They have to get their kids to school. They have to get to work to earn a living. And you know what? Consumers are on the edge. Just in general. I mean, they need to get to work. The mortgage rates are skyrocketing, car prices are skyrocketing, and the consumer at the end of the day is the one that's going to take it on the head here. But the most confusing thing about this strike, and I've been talking about this on several news networks, is I don't understand what the UAW is thinking. You can't have a 40% increase in pay in a 10% inflation environment, and you can't cut back your work week to 32 hours and expect to get paid for 40. And what you're going to do is you're going to force the manufacturers to start driving some of that production outside the U.S. into Mexico, into China. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. We're trying to bring manufacturing back. So I think it's an oxymoron, and I think they got to come to their senses.
Well, and I know, Tom, that a lot of those union workers are saying, we're not asking the consumers to pay more. We're saying that, the CEOs, that the heads of these companies should maybe be taking a little bit less. But I wanted to ask you as a dealer, what are your thoughts on the strike as a whole? And you may have kind of just answered that, but you're really dependent on both the automakers as well as those auto workers, because if there are no workers, there are no cars.
That's correct. And listen, this is an age-old problem in the United States of America is the unions. And, but the demands that are on the table are unsustainable. There's no way that the car companies can sustain them. If I were running Ford, Chrysler, or GM, I'd be at the table with the unions and I'd say, listen, you want an increase in pay, you want to get a percentage of our profits. I agree with you. The workers should get an increase. But guess what? When the market changes and we go backwards and, pre-COVID, we were losing money or right on the edge, you guys have to take a pay cut. And I don't think they want to do that. They want to put this in place. They want to put it in a contract, and it's unsustainable.
And Tom, my last question here for you. Do you think at the end of the day, as a dealer, that the consumer is the one ultimately who will end up paying the price regardless of how this ends?
It's always the consumer that pays the price. The manufacturer passes those prices along in the MSRP. The manufacturer suggested retail price. The dealer has to pass that along to the consumer because we have an employee base also. We have to make a living and a profit and pay our mortgages and our bills. And ultimately, it's the consumer that pays the price here. And that's why they have to get to the table. They have to settle this because it's not only it's going to affect the transportation system. It's affecting consumers. And we're trying to drive all of this back to buy America, buy America, buy America. But what you're really doing is forcing the consumer to go elsewhere.
All right, well, there you just heard it. The owner of several Ford dealerships along the East Coast, Tom Maioli, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.